Doctor?
What are you investigating?
Well,
I was lucky.
why do I still have...
I don't think so. You had better interview Miss Teasdale and Mr. Kimura on that matter. All I did was to lead them safely home. What are you
Well, my two missing...
I was lucky enough to find them both while conducting my investigation in this part of town.
Why do I still have the feeling that you're hiding something? What about the abductor? Was it the same person?
I don't think so. You had better interview Miss Teasdale and Mr. Kimura on that matter. All I did was to lead them safely home. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Doctor.
Oh my God! I'll send you to hell! Oh, mine, vermin! Die, leech!
I cannot enter. A restaurant where the guests are blindfolded before being seated. Intriguing.
Over there! There's one of them vermin! No! Watch it! It's a killer!
Braille. I need someone who can read this.
Shut! See them, Vampyr! He's done for! Eat him!
Maybe there's a way to break into this house. It's locked, all right. This is despicable.
Tasty rats.
Hello again, Venus.
Jonathan, you're still up. Can't you just knock at people's doors during the day?
Forgive me.
I'll tell you what. Women's right to...
Good evening.
And good
Good.
She's been quite...
Good evening.
I have found a restaurant that could satisfy you, Mr. Russell. The most intriguing and exotic restaurant in London.
Really? You have piqued my interest. Where is it?
It's a place where you eat in complete darkness and try to identify your meal without anything but your palate.
My, oh my, how interesting. It could even be fun to eat a little poisson et frite that way. Oh, thank you, Dr. Reed. Please, have this for your research.
I may have a look at your goods, Mr. Russell. Good evening, Miss Teasdale. How have you been since you returned home?
Dr. Reed. Oh, thank God you returned safely from these awful streets. I was so worried about my father that I left without thanking you properly.
Please don't mention it, miss.
Good. I found him, you know. My dad. Or what was left of him. I think my abductor intended to do the same thing to me.
What do you do for a living, Miss Teasdale?
Before my kidnapping, I was a waitress in a pub. Now I'm unemployed.
Were you fired?
No. It's just that after my recent experience, I don't feel like I can go back to my normal life. I need to do something useful.
What do you intend to do?
Dad always told me, Louise, if you want something, don't stop until you have it. I did my research and I found it. Ichabod Throgmorton, professional vampire hunter. I'll be his apprentice.
Be very careful, Miss Teasdale. You were lucky to escape death once, but Vampires lurk everywhere.
You killed my kidnapper by yourself, didn't you? No offense, Doctor, but you're just a doctor. I don't see why I couldn't do the same.
What can you tell me about this area?
I've never really liked this part of town. It was where my father wanted to live. I won't remain here much longer.
What exactly don't you like about it?
People here are contemptuous and elitist. My dad always said, Louise, always treat people like you want them to treat you.
You seem to cherish your father a great deal.
Dad was the best. Kept an eye on me, but let me make my own mistakes. Louise used to say, mistakes are the best teacher. You would have liked him.
I'm sorry you didn't have the opportunity to say goodbye.
That's all right. He's buried in consecrated ground now. Nothing bad can happen to him.
Louise, tell me what you really think about your father's sacrifice to save you.
I'm proud he went after me. I forgive him all his harsh words, all his bloody attitudes. I only wish I could tell him how much I loved him.
Yes. It can be traumatic, not having the chance to say goodbye to those we love.
Yes, Doctor. And there's no treatment for that type of pain, isn't that right? That may be the last thing my father taught me.
Louise, what can you tell me about the vampire who captured you?
The little fucker claimed he'd fallen in love with me. That he wanted to spend eternity with me. Not a bad idea. At least that's the way it seemed at first.
Really? Did you consider accepting his proposal?
Well, immortality. Not a common wedding gift, is it? I think he just wanted to have his way with me. Can vampires even fuck, Doctor?
What? Well, I really can't answer that. Well, since they are creatures of blood, physically speaking, I suppose an erection is possible, but
Don't be embarrassed, Dr. Reed. I was just asking.
Why did your father feel guilty? He seemed so eager to welcome you back, as though he'd done something wrong.
Last time we saw each other, we had a terrible argument. I left the house and ended up in a pub. That's where the vampire met me. Dead drunk.
I see.
We argued a lot, me and Dad. But I always came home. I'm sure that's why he went to find me. He knew something bad had happened.
Your father never gave up on you. In the end, he risked everything to save the daughter he loved.
Yeah, that was my dad. Tough bastard, just like me. Even if I'd broken his leg, he would have gone looking for me.
What do you mean?
That last argument we had, it was more of a fight, actually. He slapped me and I kicked him hard in the balls.
Do you need my medical attention, miss?
I don't need your help, specifically. I can assure you there are many competent doctors around.
I have no doubt about it, but I'm offering you my help anyway.
All right then. But please leave me alone for now.
Goodbye, Miss Teasdale, and be careful. Until we meet again.
These leaflets were telling the truth all along. But nobody takes them seriously.
Please, sir, whether you need to buy something or not.
We meet again, Mr. Kimura, in a more peaceful situation.
Dr. Reed, still visiting London by night?
We must both be nocturnal animals, you and I. After your captivity, I thought you'd be more cautious.
Breathing the cold night air helps calm my mind, sir. I've had the most frightening nightmares since I escaped that filthy jail.
How is the situation in the West End?
I've heard rumors about armed men patrolling and fighting infected citizens in these very streets. I was lucky they didn't shoot me when I was abducted.
May I ask you what you do for a living, Mr. Kimura?
I was a landlord. A wealthy one. And not a very kind one, I realized recently.
Why this sudden epiphany? Is it because of your near-death experience?
I was already feeling nostalgic about Weymouth, my hometown. With recent events, I'm thinking about going back there.
What can you tell me about your abduction?
If you really want to know, I was locked in that building for 3 or 4 days. My jailer was insane, mumbling about sacrifice and voices.
What did he say about voices?
He constantly whined about the voice of his master, ordering him to do terrible things. He wanted to silence the voice by offering blood. My blood.
And why didn't he sacrifice you?
That was the weirdest part. He claimed to spill blood was not enough. It had to be done when some stars were aligned.
Which stars?
That's the whole point. He wanted me to talk to him about some Red Queen configuration or constellation. I've never heard of such an astronomical term.
Why are you so nostalgic for your hometown, Tadao?
I was focused so much on making money, I almost forgot that my relatives and friends are threatened by this epidemic.
Have you heard anything from your family?
I was not only a bad landlord, I was also a bad husband. I've not seen my wife and son for years. Busy, busy, busy.
At least now you're ready to go back and see them. But don't be surprised if your son bears a grudge, sir.
You make it sound like you suffered from an absent father yourself, Dr. Reed. Well, I'll keep your warning in mind.
Have you no friends at all?
Over the years, I'm afraid my greed turned me into my friend's adversary, while I became friends with my professional rivals.
Those you grew up with didn't share your views on money and success.
Would you believe I was once a member of poetry circles and an astronomy club? We were young, such joyful dreamers then, that I stopped laughing long ago.
Can you change? And is it what you really want? If so, it must come from within, not without.
I've seen what an altruistic gesture can do. Nothing forced you to save me, Dr. Reed, but you did. I will follow your example in these matters from now on.
There is no need to thank me. Rescuing a London citizen should not be out of the ordinary, though I'm afraid it may appear so in these difficult times.
You did not only rescue me, you fought for me. You put your life in danger to save me. That's quite extraordinary.
How will you cope if you're attacked again?
I don't know. I've heard about these men and women who patrol the West End every night, chasing criminals like my abductor. Maybe I should join them.
Tell me, Tadao, why was your abductor so interested in your passion for astronomy?
I dunno. We met a few times at the Royal Greenwich Observatory. He seemed to share my hobby. Then he invited me to his house and locked me in.
Yes, astronomy is a fascinating subject. When I was a child, my mother bought a small telescope for my sister and I. We spent many a pleasant evening stargazing.
Stars are not just dots in the sky, Doctor. They are the key to our understanding of the cosmos. They remind us how insignificant we are.
You're right. But children love magic and stories. I remember our mother told us constellations have the power to protect us.
Protection by the light of the stars. That's sweet. You remember the name of these constellations?
Pegasus. It was the constellation my mother liked the most.
Memory's a strange thing. I can recite without hesitation the names of the 88 constellations. Yet I barely remember my own childhood.
Did he fake his interest in astronomy to get close to you?
No. In his madness, he spoke about a blood sacrifice to be made to his master when the stars aligned to a specific configuration.
Goodbye, Mr. Kimura. Take care.
I almost forgot what it feels like. To live an ordinary life.
It's one of them! Hide!
Good evening, my dear colleague.
I'd like to see what...
Good evening.
You look ill, Miss... What?
Thank you.
Goodbye, Miss Swan.
When science fails you.
This district seems to get uglier every year.
Cheap price, good quality. Come on,
Fancy
take a
bargain.
look. Don't be afraid.
Right then.
Your prey is mine now! I'll turn you to dust! Stupid newborn! You cannot win this! Rage!
Good evening, sir. It's me again.
Leave me alone, I say, whoever you are.
It cannot be safe for a blind man to live here alone. Let me enter, sir. I swear I mean you no harm.
Well, a voice never lies, and yours clearly is the voice of a gentleman. All right, Doctor, come on in. Tell me, how do you see the world these days? So what is the name of my nocturnal visitor?
I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed. As I already explained to you, I'm inquiring about the epidemic.
Dr. Reed? The eminent surgeon? My God, I'd never have expected a brilliant physician like you to knock on my door.
You flatter me, sir.
No, sir, I am flattered. I read all your work when I still had my sight. I loved it. I'm Mason Swanborough, by the way.
You seem unwell, sir. Do you need my assistance?
Actually, I feel worse than usual. Can you give me something?
Yes. I can give you a little something that has been proven effective.
Thank you, Doctor.
Goodbye, Mr. Swan.
Wandering in this part of town at night, you're either brave or a fool. Tell me, how do you see the world these days?
It's locked. It's locked, all right.
What can I do for you?
Do you know Braille, Mr. Swanborough?
I'm no expert, but I learned it in my spare time, yes. Why?
I found a strange document entitled Cure for Blindness. It's written in Braille, so I thought perhaps it was yours.
Really? Is that some kind of sick joke? Let me see.
Here it is.
This letter seems authentic. And it actually refers to an experimental cure for blindness. You have piqued my interest, Dr. Reed.
Could it be of any use to you?
No. This page is just a part of a larger diary. I'd be glad if you could find the other pages.
I found another page of the diary, Mr. Swanborough.
This diary is still not complete. The man who wrote it claims he is a member of some scholarly brotherhood called the St. Paul's Stole.
Really? I've heard of them. Very capable scientists. Perhaps the man who wrote this really found a cure.
I would need more pages to figure it out, but it's as promising as it is intriguing.
Here is another page of the diary we were talking about.
Ah, now we're talking. Ingredients, dosages, dangers, and side effects. This is it.
Is the diary complete now?
No. The author tested his work in a hidden laboratory. We must find out where it was. Please, find me more pages, Doctor.
How is the sanitary situation evolving in Whitechapel these days?
I hear them hissing and scratching at my door every night. The sick made mad by the fever. But these walls are thick, and my lock is solid.
And what else have you learned about me, Mr. Swanborough?
I know you assisted Professor Carell in France, and that you invented a new blood transfusion method based on his work.
Yes. Those were frustrating but exciting days. I loved it.
Yes, the thrill of research and discovery. This is what drives people like us, Dr. Reed. Oh, how I envy you.
Does someone take care of you in this isolated place?
My sister Loretta and I have our daily routine. Every morning and evening she comes by so we can talk and eat. Then she leaves and I stay.
Do you not appreciate your sister's visit?
Loretta is the best and worst thing that happened to me, and I believe she could say the same thing about me.
Where does your sister go?
Well, let's just say, she earns enough money for us both.
What's so amusing about that?
I won't hide the truth from you. Loretta sells a fake miracle elixir to the sick people of Whitechapel.
Goodbye, Mr. Swanborough. I'll leave you now.
Wandering in this part of town at night, you're either brave or a fool.
Don't you know better?
Oh, please, I don't have your money.
Come on, Baron.
on, take a look. Don't be afraid. Fancy buying?
You never lose your... Right then.
As long as you have the money.
Good evening, my dear colleague.
How is the sanitary situation evolving in Whitechapel these days?
When people buy guns instead of medication, it means they have already traded hope for fear in their hearts. In my book, that's never a good thing, Doctor.
Loretta, your miraculous formula wouldn't even cure a common cold, and you know it.
The Swanborough's cordial's secret ingredient is hope, Doctor. And it's something people around here really need.
A placebo effect is real and has benefit. But in your case, you could be murdering your customers, who may die because they are not receiving the necessary medical attention.
Medical attention? In Whitechapel? Trust me, my cordial is the best option they have, since it is the only one.
If your true purpose was to help, you wouldn't take money from the poor for your snake oil.
Oh, but to pay for it is part of the process, Doctor. If it were free, they wouldn't believe in it.
I'd like to see what...
End up another drunk arsehole littering the streets.
Sorry, sir. No, over there! There's one of them. Crush the leg!
Good evening, Milton. I'd like to see...
Wise choice, Doctor.
The Pembroke is so lucky to have Dr. Reed, you know. I'm... met him in New York once.
If only there were more of us. Less resignation and more determination.
I know I can count.
Pushing yourself too hard.
We are not in the middle of a battlefield anymore. Bad that has happened.
It's locked, all right.
Disgust on every street corner. The daily routine.
I wish I could be sick again.
Southwark. My departure for France as a promising student. My return as a brilliant surgeon, about to be killed. Transformed. Done.
Resignation and more determination.
I know I can count on you. I wish I could say the same for the others.
You look exhausted. You're pushing yourself too hard. You don't have to bear the burdens of this hospital.
It's one of them! No, over there! There's one of them vermin! Not steady, boys! Die, vermin!
I will return at a more convenient time.
It's a leech! Kill it! Need one of them! Watch yourselves!
It's locked. I cannot enter.
no place for you, sir. Hey! This one's mine! You leeches need killing! Bloody monster! Bloody leech!
There's one of them.
London has brought so much pain.
Let your guard down.
Why don't I want to leave?
Women die too in this war!
Good evening, Dr. Reed.
I may have a look at...
Only the first step!
send you to hell! Back in the car! I hate leeches! London vampires are so... This is now my domain, young Encos! Over there! Christ, he's dead!
Over there! There's one of them burning!
Good evening, Miss Cox.
Hello again.
Can I see...
As long as you have...
Good evening, Miss Cox.
Hello again.
Can I offer you my medical...
Giving out...
Perhaps... Have you got...
As long as he keeps on helping the poor, I'll keep my boys at bay, even if he pisses them off.
Goodbye, Miss... Good evening, Mr. Wood.
Good evening.
Do you need my medical
Unfortunately.
No, well... Goodbye, sir. Good evening, Mrs. Fishburne.
Of course. I can't remember the last time I had a good sleep.
It's locked.
I've been... What can I...
Mrs. Fishburne. Goodbye, Miss Fishburne.
I'm not sure.
Noise. A vampire kills in utter silence.
Good evening, Mr. Throgmorton.
Dr. Reed!
Do you need my... Have you heard any rumors regarding Sean Hampton's shelter?
The sad saint will always be a target for vampires, but I'm keeping an eye out.
Goodbye. Good evening, young man. Show me what you have to offer. Good evening.
There's no need to...
Young man.
I don't like...
There's no...
Thank you.
Goodbye. Good evening, young man. Have you heard anything recently concerning Sean Hampton's shelter?
He keeps investing time helping the poor and sick. Good for him. And for them.
Goodbye. It's locked, all right.
Glad to see you again, Mr. Reed.
Do you have recent news of Sean Hampton's shelter? Are you worried about the sanitary situation in London?
There are rumours of...
As long as you...
I hope you're...
Do you need my... Of course. Good.
Welcome back to my humble shelter, Dr. Reed. Are you here to subdue me again?
No, Sean. I just came by to see how you are.
I feel all right. Why'd you ask?
Are you still feeding on corpses?
No. It's almost as though the blood you forced me to drink has provided me eternal satisfaction.
Have you seen Harriet Jones since taking her to Old Bridget?
No. She is with the sewer skulls now. I don't go downstairs.
But why did she fake her own death? There was so much blood in her room. She attacked patients, too.
I just lost her for a minute that night. When I found her, she had caused mayhem across the hospital. I slapped some sense into her, and we fled before getting caught.
What happened then?
We ran here through narrow streets and backyards. She kept saying that someone was talking to her in the dark, offering to avenge her. But I saw nobody.
What happened at the Pembroke?
I guess we recognized each other. As Scals, I mean. She had but one thought. To punish. To get revenge upon everything and everyone. I realized I had to bring her here quickly.
How did you meet Old Bridget?
When younger, I used to patrol the streets at night, searching for lost souls. This is how I met her. It took me 2 months just to get her name. Now we support each other.
Had you already visited their hideout in the sewers?
Just once, and very briefly. Most of them are very discreet, and they see me as an outsider, even if I protect them.
You really are a saint, Sean.
Oh, no, sir, I'm not. But I know evil, and I believe goodwill and tenacity can make this world a better place.
Would you let me listen to your chest, Sean?
No, Dr. Reed. You already forced me to drink your blood, and I thank you for that, for I feel better now. But it was quite an unpleasant experience.
It would help me greatly if you would allow me to give you a physical examination.
I said no. I'm no subject of medical examination, and I intend only to obey and to kneel before God.
How is the sanitary situation in this part of town?
I think it's acceptable. Fewer cases of sickness recently. I thank the Lord for his mercy.
How are things in your shelter? Between the mortals and the immortals, I mean.
Even if we're all children of God, I've always maintained a strict frontier between the two communities.
What if food became scarce? Wouldn't the immortals in your flock be tempted to feed on the living? Wouldn't you?
The Scals can feed on the dead, Doctor. And until Judgment Day, mortals will continue dying.
What do you fear?
A few years ago, a Scal decided to pay a nocturnal visit to my sleeping customers. He got caught licking their necks in the dark. Since then, I have added a lock to the door.
Farewell. I have this thirst for blood.
Steady, boys! We've got one of them here! God walks with me! Doesn't like burning, does it? Die! Remember your... He's dead!
This is despicable. I have this thirst for blood. can't believe I'm doing this. It's locked.
I should leave the city.
Take your guard down! Someone you're close to!
Good evening,
I won't.
How is your wife, Venus?
We've spent so much time away from it.
You need some
Take some seriously. Women's right to vote is only the first step.
Do you know where you are standing right now?
In front of the Ascalon Club, I presume.
The Ascalon Club only summons or ostracizes. What is your business tonight?
I received an invitation. I'm Dr. Jonathan Reed.
Welcome to the Ascalon Club, then, Dr. Reed. Please proceed. Lord Redgrave is waiting on you upstairs. Welcome to the Ascalon Club, then, Dr. Reed.
There has been quite a battle here. I'm sure the Ascalon Club has the money to replace the furniture. I cannot enter.
Good evening. We repel the intruders for now.
My good friends, if I may have your attention. Behold our visitor, the good Dr. Reed. Newborn of blood so pure and strong that even my friend Fergal Bansher was no match for him.
Here, here, here!
Come forward, young Ekon, for we have so much to discuss. Welcome to the Ascalon Club, Dr. Reed. I am Lord Redgrave, Earl of Bristol and chairman of this exclusive association.
Lord Redgrave.
At last we meet. I've been eager to make your acquaintance. I've heard some astounding things about you. Please accept my condolences for your loss, Dr. Reed.
Thank you, my lord. Lady Ashbury expressed your wish to meet me.
Yes. The lady has always been a useful acquaintance, though not always reliable. Is she a good friend of yours?
She's a close friend, and I'm honored that she feels the same about me.
The centuries have taught me never to trust a woman completely, especially if she is a mortal. Too prone to emotions, if you ask me. Too fickle when it comes to important decisions.
My lord, do not expect me to speak ill of Lady Ashbury.
Of course not, and I praise your loyalty. Would you offer the same fidelity to the Empire?
What do you mean?
I speak of the Skull Plague that threatens London and the country. You have been on the front line in the East End, but the time has come to open up a second front here.
The epidemic has escaped the quarantine. You have new cases of the outbreak.
We don't know for certain, but we cannot allow the disease to threaten the prominent heads of Great Britain.
Why are you suddenly so friendly? The last time I met one of yours, he tried to kill me.
Are you referring to Fergal? He was the most useful of servants, but he was just a servant. You, on the other hand, Doctor, proved yourself much more worthy.
You want me to find possible sources of the outbreak in the West End? Is that it?
Ah, straight to the point, like all eager newborns. We shall have time to talk about all this, Dr. Reed, but first, I should like to get to know you better.
Talk? Is that the only reason you asked me here?
Well, no. I also wanted to meet the intriguing Ekon, who made such a powerful progeny of his sister. You have not learned the name of your maker, am I correct?
No. I haven't.
Have no embarrassment, Dr. Reed. We all make mistakes. But whatever your lineage, you are definitely Ascalon material.
What do you mean?
I would like you to become a member of the Ascalon Club, and to serve me as such.
Before I accept, I have so many questions.
Please ask.
What is the Ascalon Club's express purpose?
We follow the credo of William Marshall, the greatest knight who ever lived. As was he, we are sworn to protect the British Empire.
What does Ascalon mean?
Ascalon was the lance wielded by St. George, glorious patron saint of England when he slew the dragon. And like that lance, we pierce the hearts of all our nation's enemies.
William Marshall founded the Ascalon Club.
Not exactly. William Marshall granted me immortality, and I founded the club a few years later. The good knight has been gone for so long.
What does it mean to be a member of the Ascalon Club?
It means that you swear to protect the interests of the Crown, that you become a loyal servant of the British Empire.
Do you have any official recognition from the government? A charter from His Majesty the King?
No. Of course, the Ascalon Club publicly supports the Empire, but the true nature of its members remains a secret.
Am I supposed to follow orders?
As founder and chairman of the club, I alone am entitled to make demands of our members, and I do appreciate obedience.
I killed Fergal, who claimed to be one of yours, sent to cleanse the East End of all Skulls. Will his death be an issue?
Do not worry. My priorities have changed. Fergal was a zealous servant of mine, but like any servant, he had his limitations and is readily replaced if necessary.
I agree to join the club.
This is good news. Good news indeed in these crucial times. Let's inform the Assembly formally and proceed with your initiation.
My initiation?
Fear not. Nothing fancy nor dangerous. It is just that we, the members of Ascalon, believe that tradition and custom are the backbone of this country. My fellow members, dear friends, please gather and welcome this Ekon as one of our own.
Is he worthy? Is his blood pure?
Well, speak, Dr. Reed, in front of the most sacred blood. The blood of our beloved William Marshall, speak now. Will you serve and protect the crown as he did?
Yes, I will.
Then, young Ekon, it is time to testify with your blood. It is time to sign the Book of Allegiance. I know it's awfully gothic and a tad pedantic, but England's traditions are the backbone of our nation. Delightful. Welcome to the Ascalon Club, Dr. Reed. Take your place among the bearers of the lance.
One of us! One of us!
I personally went patrolling last night in the West End, and I spotted at least 2
Good
foreign
evening, Dr. Reed. How does it feel to be this evening's centerpiece? Figuratively.
I was chased by a gigantic falcon 2 nights ago.
It's quite unsettling. As a doctor, I am more used to being the observer than the subject observed.
Do not be alarmed. The Ascalon Club has a tried and tested policy for choosing its initiates.
May I ask who you are, sir?
Why would you be interested?
Well, as you seem to be the only man in the room with a beating heart, you draw quite a bit of attention yourself.
Ah, vampire senses never cease to fascinate me. They dwarf those of mere mortals. I am Aloysius Dawson, by the way.
What can you tell me about Lord Redgrave?
I would not dare speak of our chairman without his consent.
Are you not afraid? You are surrounded by vampires.
Sir, it's for that very reason that I joined the club in the first place.
Is not the nature of this club a secret shared by only a privileged few?
My dear Dr. Reed, I have spent years and a fortune precisely to gather that kind of information.
So you asked for membership?
I have been a member of many clubs in many countries. But I must admit, this one is my favorite.
Are you a member of the club?
Yes, I am. And I have been for many years. And will be until the day I die.
What can you tell me about it?
It's not really my place to give you such information. I am merely a mortal member, and a dying one at that.
Are you sick?
Personally, I consider my advancing years are a sickness in itself. My body is slowly abandoning me, Dr. Reed.
Mr. Dawson, of Dawson and Dawson, the wealthiest man in England. It is a pleasure to meet such a prominent figure of London.
A withering London figurehead, to be precise.
Are you sick, Mr. Dawson? I am a doctor, you know.
My case is beyond the scope of traditional medicine. I have spent fortunes on the world's most competent doctors to arrive at that diagnostic conclusion.
I'm sorry to hear that, sir. Should I suppose that you're here in search of some form of immortality?
Absolutely not. I'm here to implement my plan to save the city I was born in. To cast out the ghastly evil that has us all on our knees.
What is the situation like in this part of town?
I am sure Lord Redgrave will enlighten you more effectively than I.
What do you know about the Guard of Priwen?
I should not say this, but I admire their commitment. This is what the nation needs right now.
But they are our enemies.
They are not mine, Dr. Reed.
Would you help them?
No. There is a time for such methods. But brute force will not be enough to fight this plague. We have to think differently.
Money cannot solve every problem. This mysterious epidemic is going to require more than money can buy.
You're right. Money is nothing unless one has the will to wield it. I have a plan, sir. A radical one that will save all that is essential in London.
What is your plan, then?
Quarantine and barricades are futile. What we need is a wall. A formidable, unscalable wall to isolate the deserving from the infected masses.
Complete isolation has proven effective throughout history, but the death toll has always been a high one.
I am glad you understand the concept of necessary sacrifice.
Are you not mistaking sacrifice for summary execution?
Why do you care? Are you not a vampire? Removed from all mortal concerns? Decisiveness is what the city needs, and it needs it now. We'll talk later, Dr. Reed.
That went well, did it not? It is always useful to bolster the troops' morale, especially before a difficult battle.
You have the makings of a general, my lord.
I was, though very long ago. Well, not quite a general, but a proud defender of the crown.
So why did you really want to meet me?
Straight to the point again, young Ekon. All right, let's talk, you and I, Lance Sparrow.
I'm listening, my lord.
According to my spies, you have worked with Dr. Edgar Swansea on the epidemic, and your findings were quite alarming.
You were spying on me?
Not personally. I rarely leave this building. But once he found you, Fergal kept me informed, until you put an end to his mission.
Who was Fergal? I don't see him sipping tea with the others in the club.
Fergal Banshire was my squire of sorts. Even before becoming that magnificent beast, he was a brute. He served me well for decades.
No, I mean, what was he? He was clearly no ordinary vampire.
No. He was a Volcod. All muscles and instinct. Quite the rare breed. Ferociously territorial. Mortals often mistake them for werewolves.
You do know I killed him?
Yes.
Will you bear ill will towards me for his death?
Of course not. Your victory was quite impressive and courageous. You earned my respect.
Do you know Edgar Swansea?
Not personally, but I've been told he has some sort of immortal fetish and is a good friend of yours.
Does it bother you that I consider him my good friend?
As long as you reveal nothing of the club's inner workings, why should I forbid you engaging in conversation with the good Dr. Swansea?
Yes, I'm convinced the recent invasion of frenzied Scowls in London is directly linked to the epidemic. This is not the Spanish flu, but something else.
I would be glad to hear more of your discoveries, Dr. Reed, but for now, my main concern is the security of London's inhabitants, both mortal and immortal.
What do you mean?
Alarmed by the epidemic, the Guard of Prewen has started a war against us British vampires. To appease the situation, we must eradicate the Scowls.
I have met peaceful and wise Scowls. To exterminate them means we are no better than vampire hunters.
Scowls are hideous, shameful creatures that give all Ekon a bad name.
So, what do you want me to do?
I want you to investigate the city thoroughly. I have reason to fear there are cases of contagion in this part of town. Our absolute priority is to find and cleanse them.
And how would you like me to proceed?
By all means necessary, Dr. Reed. You are now a member of the Ascalon Club and you have carte blanche. Interrogate the locals, follow all the leads you find, and get results. How's your investigation going, Dr. Reed? Time is our enemy.
I have a few questions for your lordship.
All right, but be quick.
What can you tell me about the Great Hunt?
It's a major concern, and I'm convinced we'll only get a satisfactory conclusion by putting an end to the epidemic.
I have already met Geoffrey McCullum. I am certain he will persist until he has killed every last vampire.
The Guard's current successful recruitment campaign is driven by the ravenous behavior of the Scowls.
I see. So without the epidemic creating Scowls, the Guard could not convince anybody of our presence.
Exactly. Once we have put the epidemic behind us, we need only wait until the Guard grows old and weak. Time will once again become our ally.
What about the risk of a full-scale attack here? Geoffrey McCullum is a daring leader.
That is exactly why so many of our number have left the country until things improve. But not me. I founded this club. I'll die defending it.
You made me swear on the blood of William Marshall during my initiation ceremony. Why was that?
William Marshall was the most glorious knight who ever lived. He served 5 kings, and was a living example of probity for all. And he was my maker.
William Marshall was a vampire? Is this some sort of joke? Wait. Could he be my maker?
That would be joyful news, for it would mean he still walks among us. But alas, the great knight has left this world for good.
Why is his blood so sacred to the Ascalon Club?
He was simply the greatest defender of the realm we have ever known. I fought by his side at the Battle of Preston, and he made me his progeny following the fight.
May I ask you about the mortal who attended my initiation? Mr. Aloysius Dawson.
A member of the club does not normally ask questions about other members. We trust each other mutually.
So he really is a member, then?
Indeed. Only the most eminent members are allowed to attend such ceremonies. Even if I admit some of us fled during the first hours of the Great Hunt.
But Mr. Dawson is mortal. Are you not afraid he might reveal who you are? Especially to your enemies.
Aloysius Dawson is a man of his word, as are all of us. This is the Ascalon Club, Dr. Reed. We do not grant access to the unworthy.
Goodbye, Lord Redgrave.
Godspeed, Dr. Reed. We are counting on you.
I'm sure you have more important things to do than talking with an old man like myself.
Welcome to the Ascalon.
I think Lord Redgrave just suggested I was sired by an ancient vampire. Hello again, Venus.
Jonathan, you're still up. Can't you just knock at people's doors during the day?
I'm sure you can spare me a few minutes. For old time's sake.
Of course you may enter, Jonathan. You know that you are always welcome here. But at this hour of night? Survived the Great War. I feared the worst.
It's locked. No invitation is needed to enter this building. Emily wanted to. No sign of a struggle. It seems Charlotte's friend knew the killer and let him in. Blood. I should follow the trail.
Who are you? What are you doing here?
I could ask you the same question.
I'm the Marquis de Bois-Colombes, and I strongly invite you to find your own game, sir.
I appreciate the invitation, but I'm here to solve the mystery concerning the death of a young woman killed by a vampire.
A young woman killed by a vampire? Oh, you're joking, right? Oh, I do love the British sense of humor.
What are you doing here?
I recently decided to visit London. I've always dreamed of visiting a city on the verge of collapse. Such a delicate, yet intense spectacle.
You take pleasure from others' misery.
I have been a totally depraved and immoral creature since the day I was reborn, sir. And probably before.
What do you plan to do here?
Take pleasure. Take pictures. Enjoy the show. Have fun. Believe me, I won't be the only foreign immortal who bought a ticket to the fair.
And who exactly are you?
I am Jacques-Michel Guillaume Florimond de Marquis de Bois-Colombes, at your service, my dear cousin.
You're French, but your English is quite good.
I was born in France, sir, but I consider myself a traveler of this world. So many countries, so many tantalizing tastes.
Dear cousin, are we related?
We could be of the same blood, my dear. I tend to consider all Econs as family, don't you?
I followed the trail of blood from her room to here.
Oh, you're referring to that young woman. Yes, the meeting turned messy. I'm afraid I ruined my last redingote.
So you admit you murdered her?
I admit nothing, my good sir. I only regret the blood of that girl staining my clothes. Oh, blood can be so messy.
What happened?
She wanted to become one of us. Not the first time I have received such a proposal, but I must admit her direct approach tempted me.
And then what?
The body rejected my blood. It happens, you know, sometimes even with voluntary prey. At least her gurglings brought me some fun, until the artery burst.
Your cruelty deserves punishment, sir.
And what else is new?
Hello, Venus.
Hello, Jonathan. Please, come in. I remember when Mary came here with her husband and her son.
It's a pleasure to see you again, Venus.
So you returned from the war in one piece too. Thank God. My Clarence is back home too.
How is the old rascal?
Probably outside, chasing ghosts and chimeras. Clarence has changed a lot since he returned from the war, you know.
Venus, why do you worry so much about your family's reputation?
Everyone laughs at Clarence now. And they avoid me because they believe I share his insane opinions. I'm a leper in my own community.
How have you been since the last time we met? How long has it been? 3 years now?
I've done my duty, like all British women. You have no idea what it was like to wait for months without knowing if I'd still be a wife or a widow.
I understand. Luckily, this part of town has been saved from the worst of the bombings, from what I've seen.
Yes, and it's also true about the epidemic. The flu has killed here too, of course, but not on such a large scale as in other parts of town.
Have you noticed anything peculiar about the neighborhood recently?
You mean except for your return to town? No. Oh, and again, Jonathan, please accept my condolences for your sister.
Why is my return so surprising?
It's more an unexpected happy end than a surprise. You and Clarence, back from the war. You have no idea how hard it's been for me.
Thank you, Venus. It was so sudden. And I've been so busy, I haven't spoken to anyone about it.
I wish I could have assisted at the funeral, but you know, it's been so quick. And what with the epidemic in the streets?
There's no need to apologize, my dear. It's normal, considering the circumstances.
No, it's not. I am sure that Clarence has not even thought to present you his condolences. He is too busy with his penny dreadful stories.
I'm investigating the source of the epidemic in this district. Have you noticed anything unusual?
The Macphersons. I heard they locked themselves in their own house.
They could just be afraid of getting sick.
Perhaps you're right. But if I were you, I'd pay them a visit. A big house, reachable through a courtyard, to the north of the railway bridge.
Goodbye for now.
At least you survived the Great War. I feared the worst.
Good evening, old chap.
I won't...
You need some rest. Good evening, Miss...
And good evening.
I have found out what happened to your friend, Emily.
I can handle the truth. There's no need to hide the bloody details.
Your friend was planning to become a vampire. She thought she'd met an honest one and made a deal with him. Unfortunately, Emily did not survive the process.
My mother told me many times about the risks of being turned. I often suspected she exaggerated the danger to avoid me being tempted.
No, the risk is real. Have you any idea what a body has to endure? To become an organism entirely consumed by its need to process and recombine blood.
I should never have talked to Emily about vampires. I never thought she'd actually try it without me. Thank you, sir. Here, take this for your discretion.
I'm investigating the source of the epidemic in this district. Have you noticed anything unusual recently?
A few days ago, I spotted a strange house while campaigning for women's suffrage. Awful smell. No answer when I knocked.
Where is it?
It's the Mullaneys. A nice family who live in a big house near the park in the eastern part of this neighborhood.
Goodbye, Charlotte.
She's been quite...
Good evening,
I won't...
I'm investigating the source of the epidemic in this district. Can you help me?
Infection is everywhere these days. But if you ever go to the park near that swanky house belonging to the Mullaneys...
Yes? What about the Mullaneys? What about their house?
Not enough noise for a big family with children. Not enough movement. Closed doors. What is going on in there? I wonder.
You need some rest. Good evening.
I won't...
Tell me what you have discovered about vampires, Clarence.
They've always been here. And if you search for long enough, you realize others know about these devils too. I'm not alone.
Have you shared your research with anybody else?
No. But I've published my leaflets all across the city, hoping that someday someone will realize I'm printing the truth.
What do you mean you're not alone? Who have you met?
The Guard of Prewin, the Brotherhood of St. Paul's Stole, Ichabod Throgmorton. Those names always pop up when you dig deep enough.
Have you spoken with any of them?
No. With the quarantine, it's almost impossible to leave the West End. But as a doctor, maybe you could, Johnny.
Are you asking me to help you prove the existence of vampires, Clarence?
Yes, Johnny. Please. Gather all the information you can find about vampires and bring it to me. You're the only friend I have left. I need you.
Do you realize you are ruining your family, Clarence? Don't you see the risk here?
Money isn't important. Not important when it is a matter of life and death. That is what my dear Venus cannot understand.
I can't believe I'm telling you this, but if warning people is that important to you, why not choose a more efficient way to spend your money?
Don't you think I tried? I knocked at every door, went to every bank, I even tried to be published. No, Jonathan. This is a one-man war.
People will laugh at you. If they don't already. Think about your wife and your position. Think about your future.
I understand my wife's embarrassment, but gossips don't kill, vampires do. There'll be no future if people don't open their eyes.
Clarence, why have you distributed leaflets about vampires all across the West End?
I have to warn everybody about them. They've killed thousands of people already. Unnoticed thanks to the epidemic. We are all in danger here.
Vampires in London? Come on, Clarence. Who's going to believe that?
I'm not mad, Jonathan. You have to believe me. I know they are real. They're all around us, even as we speak.
Clarence, you've always been a reliable and a good friend to me. If you say you saw a vampire, then I believe you.
Thank you, Johnny. Thank you for your trust. You don't know what that means to me.
It's all right. But if you want my help, you have to explain exactly what happened.
The first time it was in Rouen. I saw an officer drink the blood of a soldier. I saw its teeth, saw it bite. It was a vampire, Johnny, and they're here too.
Clarence, Tell me about the vampire you saw in France.
I was enjoying my leave in Rouen. I left the bar, took a shortcut back to the barracks. I saw it in a back alley. An officer in a stained uniform, biting into a soldier's neck.
Did you ever see that officer again?
No. He wore the uniform of the Royal Warwickshire Regiment. I did some research, but found no trace of him. He probably stole it from a previous victim.
But you were drunk, weren't you? Are you sure these two men were not just kissing?
Please don't insult me, Johnny. I hid, and I saw him leave. Then I saw the body, drained of all blood. I've seen the same marks here in London since I've returned.
You need some rest, Clarence. Good evening, Mr. Kimura.
Good evening, Doc.
Goodbye. Hello, Venus.
Hello. I'm so sorry for your loss, Jonathan. What do you need?
What do you think about Clarence squandering his fortune on his obsession?
Soon we'll be poor and forced to sell the house. Where will we go? In which filthy, infected part of town will we end up? I'm so afraid.
Tell me about Clarence's obsession with vampires.
It drives me so crazy it makes my stomach hurt. I was so relieved to have him back. But I quickly realized he'd lost his mind in France.
I understand your irritation, Venus. But you have to accept the trauma Clarence endured on the battlefield.
The question is simple, Jonathan. Is my husband mad? Yes or no? Do vampires exist? Or is Clarence a lunatic?
The important question is, what do you really think of your husband?
I'm tough, Jonathan. He should have told me the horrors he witnessed, however appalling it was, instead of inventing a fantasy about blood-drinking monsters.
So you don't believe Clarence?
If poor Mary, bless her soul, had tried to convince you of the existence of bloody vampires, would you have believed her? Seriously?
Goodbye.
I remember when Mary...
Women of all countries unite!
Good evening, Miss Teasdale.
Can I help you?
Goodbye, Miss...
Women die too in this war!
Good evening.
I'm investigating the source of the epidemic in this district. Have you noticed anything unusual?
Not really. Wait, now that you mention it, I don't see the McPhersons in my favorite restaurants. They love delicate meals too, you understand.
Thank you. It may be nothing, but I'll investigate anyway. Where do they live?
They have a house in the southern part of the district, somewhere north of the railway bridge. There is a courtyard, if I remember rightly.
Goodbye, Miss... I'm investigating the source of the epidemic in this district. Have you noticed anything unusual recently?
Infection. Infection. The rats carry it, I heard. Rats. Rats, rats. Many rats around that big house. Funny smell, too. Dead flesh.
And where is this house?
West of the park. Not very far. A big house with no sound, no light, no life left.
I must go.
Waiting for you to let your guard down.
Support the equality between men and women. Dr. Reed, I am glad to see you again.
Good evening.
You know you...
May I look...
It's always a...
Good morning. Good
Dr.
evening,
Reed,
sir.
I am glad to see you.
Good evening.
My mother...
Good...
I am sorry, I
Good evening,
can't
Miss...
You know you...
Good...
Dr. Reed, I am glad to see
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Dr. Jonathan Reed.
Good evening. Goodbye.
Hello again, Doctor.
Good...
Yes?
I'm currently investigating sources of the epidemic in this part of town. Do you know anything useful?
Not really. Except all the MacPhersons' servants resigned a few days ago. They feared becoming infected, they said.
The MacPhersons? Where do they live?
I think it's a rich house near the railway bridge in the southern part of the district.
Goodbye.
Of course, Mr.
Hello again, Mother.
Jonathan!
Do you think Avery is right? Do you think I should take better care of you?
I don't blame you. But you abandoned me, son. A mother should not survive her children. It's unbearable to know you're not here anymore.
I know I have failed you since I returned. I even watched you bury Mary from a distance. From now on, I will protect you. You have my word.
You don't have to apologize to me, Johnny. Do you think I did not notice how much you have changed?
Have I changed that much, Mother? Am I still your son?
You are still, and you'll always be. Despite your pale skin, your bloody eyes, and that echoing sadness in your voice.
Tell me, Mother, how are you? All alone in this big house with only Avery to take care of you.
I'm sad most of the time. Sad that you have left me here alone. Sad that you don't tell me when you come or go.
I'm so sorry, Mother. It wasn't supposed to be like this. I was coming home. I was home. London, the Thames. And then it happened.
What happened, Johnny?
I was attacked, Mother. And I've not been the same since.
The important thing is that you finally returned home. I was worried, you know. You were the last member of the family of whom I had no news. Even Mary comes more often than you.
Goodbye, Mother.
Goodbye, son. Yes, Jonathan?
Yes?
Avery, I finally deciphered my father's puzzle. Among other things, I found his watch. I'd really like you to have it.
I can't accept this gift, sir.
Yes, you can, Avery. You deserve it.
I thank you, sir. I'll keep it until the day I die.
Goodbye.
Of course, Mr.